So I wanted to play every position that Jackie Robinson played. And that's how it all started. The reason I'm telling you this is because that's when sports started for me. As a little girl going to grandma's house. As a little girl going to Dodger games, if we were lucky to do that, when my mom could put together $25 and take all three kids and sit in the red seats. I think they were $4 a piece, and we each got one hot dog. And that was a big, big, big celebration and travel, and it was an adventure. We were lucky if we got to do that once a year, if she could scramble $25 to take the whole family. So my sports fandom started when I was 6 years old. And then I started playing sports pretty soon after. I think I was 7 or 8. I started playing Little League. And I think that was because my grandma was talking to me all about the Dodgers, and I was driven and determined to play for the LA Dodgers. I wanted to play every position that Jackie Robinson played. And that's how it all started, before I was 8. So I started playing sports, and that was kind of my release and my getaway. I played everything, from baseball to softball to basketball. I ran track. I played soccer. I wasn't that good at it, but I did it. I didn't play it in high school. I played everything else in high school. And for some reason, it's always been my thing. And that connection that I had with the LA Dodgers starting as a little kid up until last night and today has been something that's really kind of become part of my personality, become who I am. My roller derby name is Dodge Her Blue. I'm always wearing blue. People call me blue. I have a Jackie Robinson connection every single day of my life. Something comes up and 42 shows up in my life. Every single day. Every time I look at the clock, it's 8:42 or it's 10:42 or it's 5:15 and 42 seconds. I'm serious, every day. In fact, last night, while we were waiting in line to get into Dodger Stadium for the drive-in, it was my second game there. I was there for Game 5, and I was there last night for Game 6. We were waiting outside Dodger Stadium, and this is how JR42 shows up for me. We're sitting in the car. My arms are nowhere near the steering wheel. I'm turned to the right. I'm talking to my derby sister who's with me, Bad News Betty, and the windshield wipers turn on. I didn't touch a thing, and they only went once. But it happened twice in the 45 minutes while we sat outside of Dodger Stadium waiting to get in. There's a connection. There's always been a connection.
Ken has a question. Hammer and Hank passed. Thoughts?
He was really ahead of his time, too, with the Satchel Pages and the Jackie Robinson. And he, like Jackie and some of the other black players and all people of color, whether they're Colombian, Panamanian, Mexican, Puerto Rican, the first ones that came in and left the Negro leagues and came into the white major leagues, dealt with so many horrible things, threats to their family. Their families couldn't go to the games. At one point, Jackie didn't let his family come to the games anymore because of the harassment that Rachel and the kids were going through in the stands. There were, at the hotels, when the black players traveled in the white majors in the 40s and 50s and a little bit in the beginning of the 60s, they had to get security, and there were police, and a lot of the white police and white security wouldn't do it. I mean, the stories that you hear from guys like Hank Aaron's life really bring to the forefront that our world hasn't changed that much, even though there have been a lot of things we would call progress. It's like 2 steps forward and 3 back, or whatever, however you want to look at it. And so I think his stories are going to come out now because of the time our world is in. Unfortunately, they should have come out when he was alive, because I think that people really would have recognized him to be much bigger than he was, though he was that big, but to recognize it if he was alive to see it. I think that we've done a disservice that we can't make up for. We can't bring back these people to tell their stories. We can tell their stories after they're gone, but how cool would it be for Hank Aaron to sit on a stage and be able to hear it from people that respect it and recognize it, and people like that never got to. You know, we'll look back on guys like Muhammad Ali, the guys at the Olympics in Mexico, their name, Carlos, Tommy Smith, it's just their names aren't with me, but they stood on the podium and they put their black power, and Muhammad Ali refused to go to Vietnam, and Jackie Robinson fought for the civil rights movement instead of playing baseball. And Colin Kaepernick is one of them. He's going to be a hero. So Muhammad Ali, the guys in the Olympics, Jackie Robinson, I mean, there's so many, there's musicians. And Colin Kaepernick is going to join that list of people that everyone hates for a minute, but then we look at them 20 years later and it's like, what would we have done without Colin Kaepernick? What would we have done without Jose Canseco, who blew the whistle on drugs in baseball? Everyone hated him, but guess what? They're part of history. And really, they're fighting for what's right.